I stood at the iron gates of my father's mansion, watching the valet park another Bentley. 25 years. That's how long it had been since I'd been here. The cab driver gave me a worried look before pulling away, probably wondering why someone in my worn jacket was attending a party like this. I walked toward the entrance. The security guard stepped forward, hand raised. Service entrance is around back. I'm family, I said quietly. Before he could respond, my brother Marcus appeared. His designer suit probably cost more than I used to make in 6 months. His eyes went cold when he recognized me. What are you doing here? He hissed. Father invited. Like hell he did. Marcus grabbed my arm. Guest turned to stare. You don't belong here. My other brother, Vincent, joined him. Together they physically pushed me back. People whispered. Camera phones appeared. A woman in diamonds covered her mouth. You're an embarrassment, Vincent said loud enough for everyone to hear. I steadied myself, brushing off my jacket with dignity I'd learned from sleeping in shelters. I came with a gift. Marcus laughed, that cruel sound I remembered from childhood. A gift? What could you possibly give? I reached into my bag and pulled out a wrapped box. Heavy. Expensive looking despite my circumstances. I'd saved for months to have it properly presented. The crowd gathered closer, smelling drama. My father appeared at the top of the marble steps. 70 now, still commanding. Still cold. His eyes found mine and something flickered. Disgust, maybe. Definitely not warmth. What is this? He demanded. $2 million, I said simply. For you. The laughter started small, then grew. Marcus doubled over. Vincent wiped tears from his eyes. The guests joined in, nervous, delighted, vicious. He probably stole it, someone shouted. My father descended the steps slowly. You think I'm stupid? You show up here in those clothes talking about millions? He snatched the box from my hands. This is fraud. The robbery. Dad, please? You're cursed. You've always been cursed. Your wife died because... He raised the gift above his head and hurled it to the ground. The box shattered. But instead of money, documents spilled out. Certified papers with gold seals. Letters and protective sleeves. A private insignia that caught the light, silver and blue, intricate. The crowd went silent for half a second. Then the mockery got worse. Documents? That's your gift. Probably fake certificates. Did he print these at the library? I didn't move. I'd learned patience in ways they couldn't imagine. 25 years of it, to be exact. Marcus kicked at the papers. This is pathetic even for you. Vincent pulled out his phone. I'm calling the police. This is harassment. My father stared at the scattered documents but didn't bend to look closer. Pride as always kept him ignorant. I glanced at my watch. Almost time. I looked back at the gate, then at my family. My sons, I said quietly, asked me to wait. The words hung in the air like smoke. Hello everyone and thank you for being here. Before the story continues, take a second to tell me where you're watching from in the comments. I truly enjoy seeing how far these stories travel and hearing from you directly. One important note, some elements in this story have been fictionalized for educational and storytelling purposes, and any resemblance to real people or settings is coincidental. That said, the message I'm sharing is meaningful and I hope it speaks to you. 25 years earlier, I held my wife's hand as machines beeped their final rhythm. Stage 4. 3 months from diagnosis to death. We had 5 sons, the oldest barely 7. Promise me, Sarah whispered. Promise you'll give them everything. I promise. She died at sunrise. That same day my father appeared at the hospital. Not to comfort. To deliver news. The family voted. We're pulling your trust fund. You married beneath us. You made your choice. I was evicted from the family property within a week. 5 crying boys. Everything we owned in garbage bags. My brothers watched from the mansion windows as security escorted us out. Marcus had laughed. Actually laughed. I stood on the street with my children, their confused faces looking up at me, waiting for me to fix it. I couldn't fix it. Not then. That night, in a shelter bed with my boys pressed against me for warmth, I made a vow. Not revenge. Something better. I would raise kings. Years blurred together. I swept streets at dawn. Washed dishes at night. Slept in 3-hour shifts. My boys studied under streetlights when we couldn't afford electricity. I saw my family occasionally. They drove past me while I worked. Once, Marcus rolled down his window at a red light. Still sweeping, brother? He tossed coins at my feet. I didn't pick them up. Another time at a grocery store, Vincent's wife saw me counting change for milk. She called her friends over. They laughed. Took pictures. "Remember when he was supposed to be something?" she said loudly. My youngest son, David, was with me. 8 years old. He heard everything. That night, I found him crying in our tiny bathroom. "Why do they hate us, Dad?" "They don't hate us, son. They fear what they don't understand." My eldest, James, appeared in the doorway. 13. Already too serious for his age. "I'm going to make them see," he said quietly. Back at the party, my father's business partner, a wealthy investor named Richard Bradford, stepped forward. He'd married into the family through my cousin. "Those boys of yours," Richard said with a smirk, "I heard they work in tech now. Probably running scams. Like father, like sons." The crowd murmured agreement. My father straightened his tie. "Security, remove him. The special guest of honor arrives in 10 minutes. I won't have this creature here when they arrive." 2 guards approached me. I didn't resist. I'd learned long ago that resistance gives them what they want. A scene, a reason, justification. But then Marcus glanced toward the entrance. "Sir," someone called out. "There's a convoy outside." Everyone turned. Through the gates, black luxury cars appeared. SUVs with tinted windows. A Mercedes S-Class. A Rolls-Royce. Professional security emerged first, earpieces in, scanning. My father's face lit up. "They're here early. Everyone, positions." The guards pushing me hesitated. One of the arriving security men locked eyes with me, and froze. The family scrambled into formation. My father adjusted his jacket for the 3rd time. Marcus and Vincent flanked him, smiles plastered on like masks. The security team's leader, a man named Patterson, walked through the gate. He scanned the crowd, then his gaze landed on me, still standing off to the side, halfway to being thrown out. Patterson spoke into his wrist mic. Then he approached my father. "Mr. Aldrich?" "Yes, yes." My father beamed. "We're honored." "We have one question before the guests enter," Patterson said. His voice was professional, but his eyes kept drifting back to me. "Of course, anything." Patterson looked past him. Past Marcus. Past the entire gathering. "Where is Mr. Aldrich?" Confusion rippled through the crowd. "I'm right here," my father said, laughing nervously. "Not you, sir." Patterson pointed. "Him." Every head turned toward me. My father's smile cracked. That's nobody. He's not important." "I see," Patterson said softly. He spoke into his mic again. 20 years earlier, James won his first scholarship. Full ride to MIT. He was 16. I worked 3 jobs to help with his expenses. He studied computer science and business. Slept 4 hours a night just like I'd taught him. My second son, Michael, followed 2 years later. Stanford. Economics and international finance. Then Christopher, petroleum engineering, top of his class, recruited by Shell before graduation. Then Daniel, supply chain logistics, offers from Amazon and FedEx. Finally, David, Johns Hopkins, pre-med, then Harvard Medical School. They disappeared one by one. Graduated. Left the country. Stopped calling regularly. I didn't blame them. I'd raised them to fly. But I wondered, late at night in my studio apartment, if they were ashamed. If they'd leave me behind like everyone else had. Then, on my 60th birthday, a package arrived. Inside, 5 keys. 5 addresses. 5 letters. "Wait for us, Dad. We're building something. Trust us. We'll come back." I waited. At the party, Patterson's team spread out, forming a perimeter. The guests grew quiet, sensing something off. My father tried again. "Look, there's been some mistake. That man he's estranged from the family. Mentally unstable. Are you Mr. Aldrich or not?" Patterson asked me directly. "I am," I said. "Then we need you front and center, sir. The principals won't enter until you're properly positioned." Marcus laughed. Actually laughed. "You think our special guests are here for him? That's insane." Vincent pulled out his phone. "This is a setup. He probably hired actors." Richard Bradford stepped forward. "I know important people. This is fraud. I'll have him arrested." Patterson didn't argue. He simply waited, expression neutral. My father's face turned red. "This is my party. My business deal. I have contracts worth." "Understood, sir," Patterson said. "But our principals were very specific. Mr. Aldrich must be treated with respect, or they won't enter." The family assumed it was a mistake. A clerical error. Wrong Aldrich. My father's composure shattered. Years of buried shame surfaced as rage. You want to know about him? He pointed at me like I was evidence at a trial. That man destroyed our family name. He married a poor woman against our wishes. She died and left him with 5 burdens. He refused help. Refused to be reasonable. The guests watched riveted. For 25 years he's been nothing. A street sweeper. A dishwasher. An embarrassment. And now he shows up here at MY Celebration, trying to ruin it with his delusions. He stepped closer to me, voice rising. I disown you. Again. Forever. You are not my son. You were never worthy of this family. The words echoed across the marble courtyard. Patterson raised his hand. His entire team stopped moving. Stopped breathing. He spoke into his mic. We have a situation. Then he looked at my father with something close to pity. Sir, I need you to stop talking. Right now. Patterson's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. The special guests of honor have one condition before they enter this venue. He turned to face the entire gathering. Mr. Aldrich, the gentleman you just publicly humiliated, must receive a formal apology. Immediately. Silence crashed over the party. This is absurd. Marcus shouted. We don't negotiate with, Vincent started. Patterson held up a hand. I'm not negotiating. I'm informing. The principals are prepared to leave. They have 3 other events tonight. This one is optional. My father's face went white. Wait. Who exactly are your principals? You'll find out when they enter. If they enter. Richard Bradford's phone buzzed. He glanced at it. His expression changed. He looked at me, then at his phone, then back at me. Oh God, he whispered. What? My father demanded. Richard's hands shook. I just got a message from my investment firm. They want to know if I can introduce them to Beto. He couldn't finish. The first car door opened. James stepped out first. Custom suit, Patek Philippe watch catching the light. At 32 he carried himself like someone who'd built empires. The crowd gasped. Some recognized him. Tech magazines loved him. Then Michael emerged. 30, already gray at the temples from stress and success. Forbes had called him a financial prophet. Christopher followed. Oil executive. His company supplied half the eastern seaboard. Daniel next. His logistics network moved products for companies most people used daily. Finally David. 27. He'd revolutionized telemedicine in Africa and Asia. The 5 of them stood in formation and I saw what I'd built. Not boys anymore. Men. Kings, just like I'd promised Sarah. Marcus's champagne glass slipped from his fingers. Vincent's wife grabbed his arm, whispering urgently. My father swayed. James walked forward. Past security. Past the guests. Past his grandfather and uncles. He stopped in front of me. And knelt. The gesture was deliberate. Public. Devastating. Hello, Dad, he said. We're home. One by one my sons approached. Each knelt briefly, then stood beside me. Patterson addressed the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce the special guests of honor. James spoke first. James Aldrich, CEO and founder of Nexus Technologies. We built the infrastructure 70% of Fortune 500 companies use. Michael stepped forward. Michael Aldrich, founding partner of Meridian Capital Group. We manage $400 billion in assets. Christopher's voice was steady. Christopher Aldrich, Chief Operating Officer, Global Energy Solutions. We supply fuel to 63 countries. Daniel smiled slightly. Daniel Aldrich, Chairman, Continental Logistics Network. We move 3 million packages daily across 5 continents. David finished. David Aldrich, Founder, Universal Health Access Initiative. We've treated 14 million patients in underserved regions. The crowd stood frozen. James turned to me. Everyone, this is our father. Our chairman. The man who built us. Richard Bradford dropped his phone. My father's legs began to shake. Marcus grabbed Vincent's arm for support. Impossible, my father whispered. This is your street sweeper's sons? Michael asked quietly. Yes, we are. Christopher pulled out a tablet. For the past 18 months, you've been negotiating with multiple investors for capital, contracts, and partnerships. My father nodded, confused. You spoke with representatives from Meridian Capital, Global Energy Solutions, and Continental Logistics Network. The color drained from my father's face. That was us, Daniel said. We were the ones considering your proposals. We own the companies you've been begging to work with. Marcus looked like he might vomit. No, that's not. Every deal you wanted, James continued, came through channels we control. We've been watching, waiting, deciding if you deserved our partnership. Vincent found his voice. You can't be serious. You're lying. Michael pulled out his phone, tapped it, and showed the screen. Here's the email chain between you and Marcus Green from Meridian Capital. That was my assistant. We used a pseudonym. Richard Bradford sat down hard on a marble bench. I've been pursuing Meridian for 2 years. I've sent 78 proposals. We know, Michael said. We read them all. James pulled out the smashed gift box, the documents my father had destroyed. He carefully gathered the papers. These, he said softly, were the contracts you destroyed. Signed. Ready to execute. James laid the documents on a nearby table. Guests pressed closer to see. This, he explained, was a foundation. The Aldrich Family Foundation. We established it 3 months ago in our grandfather's name. My father staggered forward. A foundation? $20 million endowed, Michael said. To fund scholarships for children in poverty. Children whose fathers work multiple jobs. Children society calls burdens. Christopher continued, we were also planning to build a medical wing at the city hospital. The Sarah Aldrich Memorial Wing named after our mother. $5 million committed. And a community center, Daniel added, in the neighborhood where we grew up. Where Dad slept on shelter floors with us. Where we studied under streetlights. David's voice was soft. All of this was going to be gifted tonight. Publicly. To honor our grandfather despite everything. Because our father taught us something you never understood. What's that? My father whispered. Mercy without weakness. Forgiveness without foolishness. I finally spoke. I wanted to give you this despite the past. Not because you deserved it, but because they deserved to honor their grandfather, even if he never honored me. My father reached for the papers. His hands trembled. But you smashed it, James said quietly. Before you even looked. I stepped forward. For 25 years I'd imagined this moment. Practiced what I'd say. How I'd say it. Now facing them all the words came easily. 25 years ago, you came to the hospital. My wife, the mother of your grandchildren, was dying. You told me I'd made my choice. That I wasn't worthy. The guests were silent. Some filmed on their phones. You evicted us. 5 children. Everything we owned in garbage bags. Marcus laughed. Vincent called my sons burdens. You all watched from windows as security walked us out. My father opened his mouth. I raised a hand. I swept streets. You drove past me through coins. I washed dishes. Your wives took pictures, laughed, shared them at parties. My children heard everything. Saw everything. Learned everything. My voice never rose. Never cracked. The calmness was the weapon. I taught them that dignity isn't given by men like you. It's chosen by men like me. I taught them that success without character is just decorated emptiness. I looked at each of my brothers. You had everything. Money. Name. Connections. And you built, what? Businesses you inherited? Relationships you bought? I turned to my sons. They had nothing. And they built empires. I faced my father again. So here's my decision. James spoke first, his voice carrying across the courtyard. Effective immediately, Nexus Technologies is withdrawing from all partnerships with Aldrich Industries and subsidiaries. My father stumbled backward. You can't. Meridian Capital is terminating negotiations, Michael continued. All pending deals are void. We'll be liquidating any existing positions in companies owned or operated by this family. Christopher stepped forward. Global Energy Solutions will cease all supply contracts with Aldrich-affiliated entities. We'll honor existing agreements through their terms, then sever all ties. Vincent grabbed Marcus's shoulder. Do you know what this means? We'll lose. Continental Logistics will redirect all shipments, Daniel said calmly. We control the infrastructure you rely on for distribution. That ends tonight. Richard Bradford stood up, face pale. Wait, I'm not technically family. I just married. You called our father's sons criminals, David said. You mocked a man in poverty while claiming to be a philanthropist. We checked. You've donated nothing to charity in 5 years. Richard's wife grabbed his arm. Richard, fix this. We're also, James added, informing our networks. 500 CEOs. 800 investors. 2,000 entrepreneurs. They'll know what happened here tonight. How this family treats people. Marcus found his voice. You're destroying us for something that happened 25 years ago? No, I said quietly. You destroyed yourselves. We're just refusing to rebuild you. Then Richard Bradford laughed. Actually laughed. You think this matters? He stepped forward, confident again. You think your little moral victory changes anything? I know people. Real power. Old money. He turned to my father. Don't panic. I can fix this. I have connections these boys don't understand. My sons exchanged glances. 25 years ago, Richard continued, I was at that hospital. I was there when your father made his speech about family bloodlines. You know what I said? My blood went cold. I said, do it. Cut him off. His wife's dying anyway and those kids will be anchors. Better to end it clean. The revelation hit like a physical blow. Richard, I'd thought he'd just married into the family recently. But he'd been there. At my lowest moment. He'd been the one whispering poison. I convinced your father, Richard told me directly. It was my idea to evict you immediately. Before you could manipulate anyone with grief. My father looked at Richard, confused. You never told me. Because it worked. Richard smiled. We removed the problem. You stayed wealthy. The family name stayed pure. He looked at my sons. So go ahead. Pull your little companies. I'll have new investors here tomorrow. Better ones. Your father will be fine. James pulled out his phone. Tap. Showed the screen to Richard. That's the board of your investment firm. We bought controlling interest 2 hours ago. Richard's smile died. You're fired, Michael said simply. My father collapsed to his knees. Not gracefully. His legs simply gave out. I didn't know, he whispered. Richard, I didn't know you. I thought it was my decision. It doesn't matter whose idea it was, I said. You chose it. You owned it. For 25 years, you lived with that choice and never questioned it. Guests backed away, giving us space. Some left entirely, sensing the collapse of a dynasty. Marcus approached me. Please. We have families. Employees. This will destroy everything. Like you destroyed everything for me? Vincent tried next. We were young. Stupid. We didn't understand. You understood perfectly. You just didn't care. My father looked up at me, tears streaming. In that moment he looked ancient. Broken. Say it, James told him. Say the truth. All of it. On camera. Someone held up a phone. Others followed. A dozen cameras now recorded everything. My father's voice cracked. I was jealous. You married for love. Had sons who adored you. Built something real. I had arrangements. Business marriages. Sons who only respected money. He took a shaking breath. I was proud. Cruel. I convinced myself I was protecting the family, but I was protecting my ego. I destroyed you because you had what I never could, authenticity. The words hung in the air. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry. I stood there watching him break, feeling nothing. No triumph. No satisfaction. Just exhaustion. I turned to walk away. After 25 years, I had nothing left to say to these people. My sons moved with me, forming a protective circle. We'd taken 3 steps when David spoke. Dad. Wait. I stopped. Remember what you told me? David said. When I wanted to quit medical school because the hours were killing me? I remembered. Mercy doesn't mean weakness. And strength, Christopher added, doesn't require cruelty. James stepped in front of me. You taught us to be better than the people who hurt us. Not to become them. Michael nodded. You showed us that real power is choosing kindness when you could choose revenge. Daniel finished. You raised us to break cycles, not continue them. They were right. God, they were right. I'd spent 25 years teaching them to be better than this family. Better than this moment. If I walked away now, if I let them destroy these people completely, what did that make me? I turned back. My father still knelt on the marble, broken. Stand up, I said quietly. He looked at me confused. Stand up. He struggled to his feet. Marcus and Vincent moved to help him, but I waved them off. He needed to do this himself. I forgive you, I said. The words cost me everything. But forgiveness, I continued, doesn't mean restoration. It means I'm releasing the poison. Not inviting it back. I looked at my sons. Restore the foundation. Build the medical wing. Create the community center. But put conditions on everything. James understood immediately. Public accountability. Full transparency. Community oversight. They want access to our networks? Michael asked. They earn it, I said. Years of changed behavior. Genuine restitution. Not to us, to the people they've hurt. Christopher nodded. We're not cruel. But we're not fools either. I faced my father. You can be part of the foundation. Not as chairman. As a volunteer. You'll work directly with the families you once despised. You'll see what I saw. Live what I lived. And us. Marcus asked quietly. Same. You want redemption? Earn it. Help the foundation. Actually help. Not write checks from a distance. Get your hands dirty. Vincent's wife started to protest. He stopped her. We'll do it, Vincent said. Richard Bradford tried to slip away. Security blocked him. You, I said, have a choice. Leave now and face the consequences alone. Or stay, admit what you did publicly, and we'll discuss terms. Richard looked around. No allies left. No escape. I'll stay, he whispered. The party had ended. But something else was beginning. By morning the videos had spread everywhere. Rejected street sweeper revealed as father of global powerhouse brothers. Billionaire sons confront family that abandoned them. The most powerful apology caught on camera. My phone, which I'd kept the same number for 25 years, exploded with messages. Former colleagues from my street sweeping days called, crying, celebrating. The shelter where we'd stayed sent flowers. The streetlight where we'd studied. Someone had already made it a landmark. Candles and notes appeared beneath it. But the calls that mattered came from unexpected places. CEOs wanted meetings. Not for business, for advice. How do you raise children with character in a world without it? How do you maintain dignity when everything's stripped away? How do you forgive without losing yourself? I became something I never expected, a moral authority. People wanted what my sons represented, success built on values, power tempered with mercy. The city's elite didn't want my money or my son's connections. They wanted my endorsement, my approval, my story. Because I'd done what they couldn't. I'd suffered without becoming bitter. Won without becoming cruel. I gave interviews sparingly. Chose my words carefully. I'm not a hero, I said in one. I'm just a man who refused to let hate define me. 6 months later, the Aldrich Family Foundation opened its doors. My father was there, serving food at the community center. Marcus tutored kids in math. Vincent taught financial literacy. They were awkward, uncomfortable, but they showed up. Richard Bradford worked garbage detail, cleaning the same streets I'd once swept. Community service mandated by our agreement. He did it without complaint. The medical wing opened with Sarah's name in gold letters. I stood there with my sons, remembering the woman who'd made them possible. She'd be proud, James said quietly. She'd be amazed, I corrected. David's health clinics expanded. Michael's capital firm now prioritized social impact investing. Christopher's energy company led the industry in ethical sourcing. Daniel's logistics network offered employment programs for single parents. James's technology connected them all, a web of purpose-driven businesses that proved profit and principles could coexist. They built what I dreamed, an empire with a soul. One evening, all 5 came to my apartment. The same studio I'd lived in for years, though they'd offered mansions. Dad, James said, we need to talk about something. They looked nervous. There's one more thing, Michael continued. One more gift. But we need your permission first. Christopher handed me an envelope. Inside the envelope, a photo of Sarah. Young, laughing, holding baby James. Below it, a letter in her handwriting. I'd never seen it before. Where did you get this? The hospital gave us Mom's belongings when James turned 18, David explained. This was in there. We'd been carrying it for years, waiting for the right time. My hands shook as I read. My love, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I know you're scared. I know you feel alone. But I see what you'll become. Not despite the pain, but because of it. You'll raise our boys to be extraordinary. Not because you're perfect, but because you're real. You'll teach them that strength isn't the absence of fear, it's moving forward despite it. You'll show them that love means staying when leaving would be easier. Promise me you'll tell them about me. Promise you'll let them know that love doesn't end with death. It transforms. Becomes legacy. And promise, this is most important, promise you'll forgive yourself when you stumble. Because you will stumble, my darling. You're human. But you're also the best man I've ever known. Our sons will see that. The world will see that. I already see it. All my love, always, Sarah. I couldn't breathe. She knew, I whispered. She knew what was coming. She knew you'd survive it, James said. And she was right. Today I stood at those same iron gates. 25 years and 6 months since I'd been thrown out. But this time I arrived in my own car. Nothing fancy, I'd never cared about that. My sons had learned that from me too. The gates opened automatically. No security to question me. No brothers to block my path. Inside, the mansion had transformed. The Foundation's headquarters now. The ballroom where I'd been humiliated was now a classroom. The courtyard where my father had smashed my gift was a community garden. Children played where I'd been pushed. Families ate where I'd been mocked. My father approached slowly. 71 now, humbled by time and truth. Thank you for coming. Always, I said. Marcus and Vincent stood nearby, watching their own children play with kids from the shelter program. Teaching them. Learning from them. Richard Bradford swept the path, part of his ongoing restitution. He nodded respectfully as I passed. My sons gathered around me, these 5 men who'd changed the world because one broken street sweeper refused to let hate win. Dad, James said, we have someone who wants to meet you. A young man approached. Maybe 20. Nervous. Hopeful. This is Marcus, James explained. Not my uncle, a scholarship recipient. First in his family to attend college. He graduates MIT next month. The young man extended his hand. Mr. Aldridge, I don't know how to thank you. The Foundation changed my life. I shook his hand. Pay it forward. That's all I ask. As the sun set over the gardens, I reflected on the journey. I was rejected 25 years ago, cast out, mocked, forgotten. Today I am the most sought after, not because I begged but because I endured. Not because I destroyed my enemies but because I refused to become them. Not because I had wealth but because I built character. Not because I demanded respect but because I lived worthy of it. My revenge wasn't cruelty. It was becoming the man they said I couldn't be. Raising sons they said would amount to nothing. Building a legacy from the ruins they left me. They took everything from me. So I built something they could never touch. Integrity. And in the end that made me richer than they'd ever be. Sarah was right. Love transforms. Becomes legacy. And mercy, wielded with wisdom, is the most powerful weapon of all. If this story resonated with you, I'd be grateful if you'd subscribe to this channel for more true stories like this one. Leave a comment below, telling me what you would have done in my situation. I read every single one. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it. Your share might save someone's life. Thank you for staying with me until the very end. I know this wasn't an easy story to hear, and I want to be honest with you, some of the stories that follow contain fictionalized elements created for educational purposes. If that's not something you're comfortable with, feel free to explore other content that suits you better. But if you're willing to learn from real experiences, even painful ones, I'll be here sharing what I've learned. God bless you. And remember, protecting what is yours is never optional.